Hey, I'm Tim and welcome to Tim's Saying, podcast inspiring you to grow, develop and thrive through life's challenges. Today we are talking about the discipline myth, how to build lasting habits. Discipline isn't just about forcing yourself to rely on your own willpower. It's about creating systems. It's about making sure that your good habits become effortless. Building lasting habits comes down to consistency and it comes down to starting small. In order to turn those intentions into action, we are going to be looking at some research. We're going to look at what science is, and these are real life stories and examples that's been proven so that you don't have to make the same mistakes that many people have done. First, let's break down the discipline myth. We all know that person who seems to have it all together. You know that one person that you hear in the office or in your friendship group and they're like, I wake up at 5 a.m. and I work out, and by the time it gets to 6 a.m., I've already built a business. And it's like, okay, whoa. And it can seem so discouraging for people hearing that, thinking, oh, I'm just about to go to bed at 5 a.m. because I've been gaming all night or was on my social media, on my phone for the whole evening. Well, we all know that person who seems to have it all together and still has so much time to grind and to work on their goals. And if you're anything like me, maybe you've wondered, how do they have so much discipline? How do they do that? I can't do that. Why can't I just push myself harder? Why can't I do what they do? We're the same build, we're the same person, we have the same education, we work at the same place, but why can't I do it? And I want you to know you're not alone. There's hundreds, thousands of people who think the same thing. Well, here's the truth. It's not just about willpower. That's the truth. It's not solely about willpower. Because if you've ever struggled to stick to a habit, it's not because you're lazy. It's not because you're undisciplined. It's because willpower isn't designed to carry you all the way to success. But what actually works? Let me tell you what actually works. Systems. Systems work. Systems eat willpower for breakfast. Systems are proven. Systems are designed to help you in your journey of growth. So today we are breaking the myth of discipline and learning how to build habits that actually last. They're not short term, they are long term. The myth is a lot of people think being disciplined means having this superhuman ability to resist temptation and to push through anything. They think if someone has discipline, it means, they eat all healthy foods, they work out all the time, whether they feel like it or not, because they've been so disciplined at it. And some people even think that, it comes so natural to many people. And I would go to the extreme because I've heard some people say this, and we need to break this myth today. Some people even think that discipline is something that you're born with. I'm like, guys, no. Discipline isn't something that you're born with. It's something that you develop. It's something that you create, that you build through systems. I hope that's cleared a lot of myth and a lot of false ideas that many people have. And now, I want to tell you the reality. Willpower is actually a limited resource. The more we use it throughout the day, the harder it becomes to make disciplined choices. That might surprise some of you because you think, willpower, I have so much willpower. I can do it as I practice it more, as I exercise willpower, it gets better and better and I get more and stronger willpower. That's not true. the more you use it throughout the day, the harder it becomes to make more disciplined choices. This is why it matters. If you only rely on willpower, you will eventually burn out. You will hit your cap. But when you build an environment that supports your goals, that helps you build good habits, you set yourself up for success without needing to fight against temptation all the time. Let me give you an example. Have you ever wondered why supermarkets, they put junk food at checkout? They put junk food at the tills because they know that after you've made a lot of decisions on your shopping, what to buy, what brand, what's on sale, what's not, what's a better value. After you made all of those tiny, small decisions in that half hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour of shopping, of groceries, your willpower has become so drained. So you're more likely to grab that junk food. So you're more likely to grab that small pack of sweets because you think, oh, your willpower is gone. So your body just goes and your brain just goes, oh, just pick it up. It's just something small. You reward yourself, reward yourself after this half an hour of thinking and choosing whether to buy this milk or this milk. Yeah, pick up that junk food. Pick up that small bag of sweets. And the solution to that, you need to change the system. You need to change the system. Make a shopping list, stick to it, and shop when you're not hungry. Have you ever been there when you're sitting down and you're like, oh, I really want to buy this. I really want this and I really want that. And then you buy all of the stuff. You fill yourself up with food, good food, I hope, but most of it is just cravings. And so they're usually sweets and sugar and junk food. But when you're full, right, you can't really think about food. For example, maybe you're listening to this, right? And you've just had a meal, a good meal. You're stuffed. You're good. Now, if I ask you, what do you want to eat for your next meal? What would be the best thing to eat for your next meal? Most of you will probably go, I don't really care. I don't mind whatever. I'm not really that hungry. I can't think of food right now. Have you ever said that before? I can't really think of food right now because I'm not really hungry. I'll know later when I'm hungry. It's exactly the same with willpower. You need to change the system. You need to shop when you're not hungry. James Clear from Atomic Habits said this: you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. I'll say that again. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. There's a study in 2016 and they found that willpower isn't an unlimited resource. Instead, habits and structured environments help reduce the need for constant self-control. Now let's look at the science behind habit formation. You've probably heard the whole saying of, it takes 21 days to build a habit, right? Well, it turns out that's a complete myth. The real science behind habits, it's a little bit more complicated. But don't worry, I'm going to break it down for you in a way that actually makes sense. So how long does it actually take to build a habit? The 21-day myth is the idea that habits are formed in 21 days. And it comes from Dr. Maltz in the 1960s. But there's no real science behind it. This is why I love looking at research and really gathering all the evidence, all the research and experiment and studies on different topics and really weighing it to see, look, what's strong evidence here? With this habit forming studies, there's also a 2009 study by Dr. Lally, and they found that on average, it takes 66 days to form a habit. But it can range from 18 to 254 days on their studies. It depends on how complex that habit is. So that 21-day myth, a lot of it is actually psychological. This is why our brains are so strong. It's such a huge power to transform what we do, to create new behavior and to stop bad behavior. Because if I say to you, and if you choose to believe that it takes 21 days to form a habit, you will form a habit in 21 days. It's about what you choose to believe in. And your mind is one of the strongest weapons that you have in order to build new habits. But going back to this study in 2009, it takes 66 days on average to form a habit based on their experiment that they've done. So if you've ever struggled to stick to a habit after 3 weeks and you felt like a failure, you're not failing. You're just human being, and habits take time to form. If you've gone through the 66 days and you still haven't formed a habit, I would really dive in and look at the patterns that you've done. Look at what you did in those 66 days. Have you been consistent? Has it been disrupted? Have you built some consistency and a routine? How have you tried to form that habit? You need to look at all of that. This is not a one size fits all. I want everyone to know that. There's this thing called habit loop. This is a great formula for success in forming habits. Every habit follows this simple loop: cue, routine, and reward. First one is cue, which is the trigger. Second is routine, which is the action. And third is reward, which is reinforcement. And now let's break it down. First one, cue, which is the trigger. This is the event that signals the habit. For example, if you want to start running regularly, you want to start exercising, going for a jog, then the cue is you seeing your running shoes by the door because it reminds you to go for a run. Second, the routine or the action. This is the habit itself. So if we're talking about running, then the action is you go for a 10-minute run. And thirdly, reward, which is the reinforcement. This is the outcome. This is the result that makes you want to repeat that action. So in this context, in this example, you feeling more energized, you feeling that you've accomplished something afterwards. That's the reward. Now, how do we hack this? First, make those cues obvious. Place things in your environment, place things in your surroundings that reminds you of the habit. For example, maybe put out your gym clothes and your bag, prepare your gym bag the night before. Second, make that routine easy to do. Start small so it doesn't feel overwhelming. So for me, and I've put this into action after reading Atomic Habits a few years ago, and I wanted to develop new habits. So the habit I was trying to do was to exercising, to go to the gym, and I wanted to make that routine easy. How did I do that? First, I made that cue obvious. I prepared the gym bag the night before and I put it on my bedside. Next, I made that routine easy to do. So I had a habit of picking up my phone first thing in the morning. So on top of the phone, I would put my gym clothes. So in order for me to get to the phone, I'll have to then touch my gym clothes first. So it's already in my hand. I'm half asleep. Then I was like, I've got it now. I don't know where my phone is. I can't find it. It's a little bit difficult to reach because I would push it slightly just before I go to bed, so it's unreachable, and it'll force me, and I'll have to get up in order to get the phone. So then I'll have the gym clothes in my hand, and then I end up just putting it on while I'm still in bed, half asleep. And third, how we can hack this habit loop: make the rewards immediate. So track your progress or treat yourself to something small after completing the habit. Now, okay, if you're working out, obviously don't treat yourself to chocolate and ice cream every single time. Be wise, be sensible, and you'd know what would work for you. Okay, so now we've looked at the science behind habit formation and we've looked at the habit loop. Let's be real. Most people fail at habits because they try to change everything overnight. But you don't need to flip your life upside down overnight. You just need to start small. And this is why starting small works. Imagine you're trying to push a car that's stalled. That first push is always the hardest. But once the car starts moving and starts rolling, it's much easier for it to go. It's much easier to keep going. So in your fitness habit, for example, instead of saying, I'm going to the gym for an hour every day, start with 5 push-ups or start with a 5-minute walk. And if you want more, hey, not on the first day, go back home. It's better to be wanting something more rather than coming back after your first few days, your first week, feeling exhausted and tired and dreading it and hating it. Why else does starting small works? Here's another example. Maybe you're studying, you want to develop a studying habit. If you struggle to build consistency when studying, set a 5-minute timer. It's called the Zeigarnik effect. It's a psychological principle that says our brains don't like unfinished tasks. So once you start, you're likely to keep going. Another example, maybe you want to be writing something. Maybe you want to write an essay or writing a book. Stephen King writes 2,000 words a day. But guess what? He started by just writing 1 page a day. That's it. Maybe you're trying to write something, start with just 1 page. If you can't do 1 page, if it's still too much, start with half a page. If you can't do that, start with 1 paragraph. If not, I've said this in my previous podcast, start with 1 line. 1 line, and that's it. Day 2 is another day. Day 3 is another day. Start small and then build on from there. Hey, let me give you an encouraging Bible verse. In 1 Corinthians 9:27, it says, "But I discipline my body and keep it under control, lest after preaching to others, I myself should be disqualified." See, discipline isn't just about personal success. It's about aligning yourself with a greater purpose in your life that God has for you. Whether that's honoring God, whether that's becoming a better version of yourself, or whether that's just showing up for the people who depend on you. True discipline is all about stewardship and being good stewards of our bodies, of our times, and taking care of what you've been given, taking care of what you've been responsible for, and using it wisely. So as a key takeaway, I want you to know that discipline isn't about willpower. It's about setting up systems that make success automatic. So start small, be consistent, and trust the process. You've got this. And discipline is not always fun. Discipline is difficult, but it builds your character. Just think, as you focus on discipline this week or this month, I want you to know that there's delayed gratification, that you may not see the result instantly, but know that you are building your life for something solid long term. So as you try to form habits, as you take all of these things that we've discussed today on board, I'm confident that you'll be able to form good, healthy habits, and then you yourself will be a great example and a great role model and a great testimony to other people, and the people around you, the people that you lead, and the people that you influence. Hey, I hope you got loads out of that today. Thanks again for tuning in to Tim Saying. Keep going, keep moving forward. I'm excited for the next episode, which is when life throws curveballs. How do we do it? How do we adapt and how do we thrive? I'll see you in the next episode. Don't miss it.